Hey Chase, I'm going to try this again here. I've taken the liberty of getting your login and password for MilesCC Online so I could do a few things, take care of a few things to de-Hildy the course for you before tomorrow. And that Hildy being the woman who was teaching the online courses last summer. And so hopefully that will help. First of all, okay, the things are located in eCollege. To get to eCollege, where you go to is www.milescconline.org. Your login is TAITC, and in case you don't remember it, your password for this program is 8941. So I'm going to click the login button on milescconline.org. I'm going to type in your code, your login and your password. And there's the initial page, and this may have been like this back when you were here. It may have had some Flathead Valley stuff on it. There's a Home PSH tab and an Academics PSH tab. This second tab is the one we're going to have to click on to get to your classes. And you see all three of your classes then show up by default. I changed these here a little bit from what was on before. What was on before on this entry page was Hildy Fike's name. Now it had summer. Now it has your class and a section number and your name right here. It used to have a picture of Hildy down at the bottom, and now I just left no picture there. If you want to put a picture up, hopefully you can figure out how to do that. You just go into author mode. In author mode, there's an editor page, and you can just kind of scroll down and put the picture wherever you want. There's this little insert an image item, and you can just type in here sort of like Word, and that's editing your home page. The other change, some other changes I made. Right now, what you'll notice is the second item on the list here is your grade book. And you'll notice it has an asterisk next to it. And the reason I've done that is because until you figure out how to get the grade book set up, I didn't want your students to be looking on there and seeing how things were until you were ready to do that. When you're ready, all you do is you click on your grade book, because you will be able to see it. Go to author mode. Go to the toolbox, and there's this hide from your students button. You can just unclick that to unhide it. But I'm going to click it, and I'm just going to keep it hidden from your students until you're ready to show them the grade book. But probably a good idea, because then they know what they've turned in and what they haven't and that sort of thing. Third thing I need to show you, let's go back to course mode. Is probably the most important key for you on here is this MML instructor tools. It's second from the bottom here before we get to the chapters. And one of the main things you'll be using is this homework and test manager. When you click on the homework and test manager, you're going to have a wait, and you're going to see a list of assignments. Hildy has actually put up a whole bunch of assignments from last summer. Now what I did to this is they were all checked at one point, and they all had due dates and start dates that were last summer. So if a student saw those, they'd see all those assignments, they'd try to get into them, and they'd find they couldn't do it. What I did was I went to change the dates and assign status up near the top there, and there's options to basically change when it's assigned, whether it's assigned or unassigned, the start date, the due date, whether or not you want the students to have access and be able to change the work after the due date if you have one entered, and if you want them to have a password to access something after the due date, or if you want to have somebody to have a password to access a quiz or test. You can do it for all the assignments at once, or you can do it for an individual assignment at a time. Okay? I'm not going to mess with those. I'm going to go back to the homework and test manager, having not done anything. Okay? I assign, just so your students would have something available on here, sections 1 and 2. These are assignments Hildy made up. And so what we can do is, first of all, if you don't want those assigned, there's an unassign button in this drop-down menu over here on the right. You can click on unassign, and it gets unassigned. And you see this assignment's still assigned, but this one's now unassigned. If I want to reassign it again, I can click assign, and there it is back to being assigned. If I want to mess around with the start date or the end date, in addition to this change dates and assign status, there's a good way to edit a lot of things at once. It's this edit option. And so we go into the edit option, and there are some, first of all, there's the book, which doesn't change, the grade book category, which won't change, your e-college unit. I don't know what that matters if the students see it or not. You give it a section name that Hildy gave it, section 1.2, the one that I actually have got down, and you click on next. And now here's the place where you can select or deselect problems. So let's say you absolutely hate problem 1.2.1. Well, I can select that problem and click on this remove button, and it's gone. Oopsie, I didn't want to do that. To assign it, I can click on it over here on available questions and add it. If you want to make things easier to find, the default, you'll have to look for the chapter, make sure the right chapter's picked. Okay, so I'm in chapter 1 right now. And then I've got all these sections available. Well, I can narrow it down by selecting only some sections. Sometimes there's an objectives button that looks like that's not an option here. There's this thing called the study plan. I'm not going to bother you with that now. You can study up on it if you want. I'm not using it this semester, the study plan. Okay? And so there that is. Now once you've selected by either selecting things here and adding them, or selecting things over here and removing them, that you've got your assignment set up, which problems you want. To actually, by the way, see the problems you want, you just click on the hypertext and see if that's a problem you like. And so it'll give you a preview, and it will also put you into a mode where you're doing this problem as a student, and I believe, no it doesn't, this is just previewing, okay? Okay, so you have these options, work the problem as a student or show the completed problem, and we get sick of that, so we close. We like all these problems. Now we click the next button again. This gives us again the option in this third screen to set up when it starts, when it's due. We can have a click on calendar and a click on clock to get that. You can choose whether or not, if you've made a due date, you want to accept late submissions. You can choose whether you want to have prerequisites for this assignment, say they've got to have done certain assignment before they do it. You can limit the number of attempts per question to 1 or 2 or whatever. Here's the deal in homework mode. If you leave it unlimited, which is where I've got it set right now, the idea was that they would go work similar problems, but the fact is they're able to work the same exact problem over and over again until they get, or maybe even guess, the right answer. And so that may be, you may want to limit your question items to 1 and have them get some wrong, or if you want them to have the ability to redo assignments and that sort of thing. What I'm using is quizzes to do that, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. We have some other options here. I'm sure you can figure it out. If you like it, you click on the Save button if you don't want to assign it yet, and the Save and Assign button if you do. I'm going to click on Save and Assign, and now that assignment is in here and it's check marked as assigned.